How is life both diverse and unified? Part 3.
Mechanisms of evolution. Coevolution has played a part between animals and prey all throughout the world. You can see this through natural selection and selection pressures. Natural selection has occurred between prey and predators throughout the course of history, like birds eating one type of bug, so other bugs that the birds don't eat survive, unlike the other bugs that were naturally selected for. So then eventually there won't be enough food for the birds, so then they must learn to eat other bugs, so they need to adapt because of the selection pressures around them. They will evolve to eat other bugs, so one bird will eat one bug and another will eat another, so on and so on. Eventually we will have more types of birds, creating a more diverse environment. Another way is hares got faster, so did lynx, because the ones that were slower were dying off, so nature selected the ones that were fastest. Selection pressures have impacted the natural selection process, like a hare being able to run faster was a trait that made it so only the faster lynx would reproduce it. So they were naturally selected for. These pressures change the populations of a species, making that species evolve differently to have certain traits than the same species in the same area. This is increasing the diversity because eventually we don't have one species, we will have two different species. Evidence for evolution. We can also see this throughout the fossil records because some species changed with other species. You can see with relative dating, like certain species evolved and got new traits as there did around at the same time. In the rock layer level, you can see how species have changed, and because of the change in environment, the fossils or ancestors had to change with the environment, creating new traits. Reproductive isolation occurred then. Like kangaroos, they were once on one landmass at one time, but eventually the mass split and they were reproductively isolated pre-zygotally, and then they evolved differently than the others. You can see this in their fossil records of their ancestors. Reproductive isolation post-zygotally also occurs when the species has evolved through down the line enough so that they can no longer reproduce, like horse and donkey.
Conclude, all life on Earth shares similar qualities. All life is made of cells and all living organisms contain DNA. Every species uses cellular respiration to make energy, but as we learned, only plants use photosynthesis to create food. We learned about the rich biodiversity within ecosystems and how species interact within ecosystems. We have also seen how animals have evolved from common ancestors and have become much more complex, thus creating more diversity. Lastly, we must not forget how life is defined and how water's properties make life possible.
Created using Powtoon.